But so I was born and raised there, and then I went to school, and then I came to California, and I graduated from UC Berkeley, so up in the Bay Area, those of you, well, Stanford, sure. And then after graduation, I moved to San Diego, and after starting my career, I eventually joined Intuit, and that's where my whole journey started. And then that is, we just rebranded our Latinx ERG, and it's called Familia, which means family. So that's us right there. That's my beautiful community. And basically, this is how I'm connecting who I am, where I come from, to my passion for community and diversity and inclusion. Again, I mentioned I work at Intuit, and some of you might know our flagship products like TurboTax or QuickBooks. And if you didn't know, a lot of it is powered by open source. So we are big proponents of open source. We have a booth today, tomorrow and Tuesday, so please come check us out and say hi. And a little bit about my own journey into open source. So I started my career as a technical program manager. And when I joined Intuit in 2019, one of my first programs was to bring Hacktoberfest into Intuit. And I had a very little knowledge of what open source was. So this was my very first experience. And while I was doing all the programming and stuff, I met with some engineers who had an open source project at Intuit, and they were gonna go present it at a conference in Barcelona. So I was like, okay, let's translate all your docs, your readmes and stuff. So that's me. It's supposed to be a GIF, but just imagine me doing this. I just couldn't figure out how to put it on the slide. But the real life version's better. So that, I felt like it was such an open, I don't code, I'm not a developer. So it was such an inviting and easy way to get into this world. So that's where my passion started, and then it just kept going. So I'm like, even after I left that team and went somewhere else, I still kept planning all the Hacktoberfests internally at Intuit. Then I joined our the Open Source Day Planning Committee at Grace Hopper. That's where I saw Nithya. She was one of our main speakers. And that it even took me to India to host a workshop there in our Intuit Bangalore office. So it's been good to me, and I've been building that passion ever since. And so really, I was very into the open source world. I started looking at ERGs, and really what the intersection of both and the common thread between them was I saw community, the people, right? Like I mentioned at the beginning. And then I got more involved with our Familia Latinx ERG at Intuit. I started as a member, then I led our San Diego chapter, and finally I became the global leader for our ERG, which I've been doing that for a little bit over 2 years now, and it's been a wonderful experience. We have Davey here. He actually leads our San Diego chapter now. But following both of them, then I realized I really love this, right? I'm in tech. I love tech, I love community, and I love DEI. So as I was going through, my experience with the ERG and all the community aspects of open source, I then found my new home in our DevRel team. And now I'm a developer community manager at Intuit. So it all kind of came back full circle. And those are just some pictures of us at conferences. I think that was ATO last year. And then I started a program with our Intuit open source developer meetups. I started it in Mountain View, then we went to Toronto. I'm hosting my first one in San Diego, which is my hometown, next week. Oh my gosh, yes, super soon, so I gotta run and start doing that. And I'm also doing one in India in November. So definitely globalizing and expanding that as well. And I also wanted to talk about how ERGs are a bridge that go beyond belonging, beyond culture, and how it brings back value and ROI to the business and other areas as well. So when I started looking at what we were doing, I realized that I wanted to have, go beyond the culture. So I connected with our partners at QuickBooks. We started spotlighting Latinx small businesses, sharing their stories, and really connecting to the communities externally. And I also connected with our TurboTax folks who, hopefully used to protect their taxes. But they keep leveraging our community to check on the tests, the experiences, the language. If I told you the things I've seen of the translations that make absolutely no sense for like a Spanish speaker. So leveraging our network and our community to do that, just really, the insights really build a better experience, language design for our customers. And also, I'm connecting ERGs to my role. So I'm bringing my DevRel knowledge into the communities I serve as an ERG global leader. So I did an open source workshop at Latinas in Tech earlier this year. And on the other way, I also had some folks that I met there, and I promoted my meetup in Mountain View. Those are us. Those are my Latinas in Tech friends. They came to my meetup. So it all kind of feeds each other, and that's how I merge both of my worlds. And then how can we leverage ERGs for impact? So as I mentioned, the people. So higher engagement, people feel seen, belonging, there's retention and of top talent, recruitment of top talent. Actually, we've hired several folks in my team from attendees and speakers at my meetups. So it's all like a circle. And then also our products, like I mentioned, bringing our insights from the community into our products is very, very valuable as well. And just overall for the business, just the impact on the branding, the visibility, the inclusion, and when we take inclusion, and it's not just a value that we stick in our walls, but it actually is a growth strategy. And some takeaways for you to take. I know some of you mentioned that you are familiar and involved in ERGs, so make sure that you're always aligning them to your company goals. And then also make sure you're partnering like with our open source communities, with our HR communities, our other ERG communities. Make sure you're connecting the dots there. And also measure both the human stories, but also don't forget about the business outcome, because that's, I've had to do that so that, I can be okay leading an ERG, and it's promoted because I can show the real ROI of the work that I'm putting in there. That's not my day job, but it influences all these aspects as well. So I think I'm at time. Okay. So thank you so much for coming for my talk, and I would love to connect with you all. So that's Secure Coaches to my LinkedIn account if you want to connect. But otherwise, thank you so much.